We love being able to go to the different high school, colleges, middle schools to live broadcast sporting events around the area. Georgia Alabama Sports Live appreciates all the fan support, but without a presenting sponsor like Glenn Smith Chevrolet and GMC and Opelika, none of this would be possible. So we want to say thank you so much. Go to glennsmith.com. That is right, glennsmith.com. See all the inventory and see why people always say, get ready to smile. Thanks, everyone, and thank you to Glenn Smith Chevrolet and GMC for being our presenting sponsor.
And welcome to the first episode of the Glenwood Coaches Show here on Georgia Alabama Sports Live. I'm your host, Richard Holdridge, filling in for Noah Shelton. He is going to be the host every Monday at around 6:30. And don't forget, once the football season starts, we will start having our Glenwood Coaches Show at Mike and Ed's Barbecue. Hoping to have Coach Ryan Nelson on and some fantastic coaches that support Glenwood athletics and do just an outstanding job. I know tomorrow we're excited. I mean, because we've got just a jam-packed lineup. We do have a scrimmage for volleyball, and we're going to go ahead and bring on the volleyball coach of the Glenwood Lady Gators. Please welcome to the first Glenwood Coach Show of the school year, and welcome the volleyball coach, Coach Kayla Strength. Coach, how you been?
Hey, good. How are you?
I'm doing great. I know that we got a chance to get to know you as a coach and got to know some of your players during Glenwood Media Day last week. For anybody that did not have an opportunity to see that, just tell all the audience out there your background, how long you've been coaching, and how long you've been coaching at Glenwood.
Well, first of all, thank you for having me. I know everyone at the school is excited to be a part of the Glenwood Coaches Show and everything that you guys do. We're really appreciative of that. So I just want to thank you for that. This coming year will be my 11th year at Glenwood, I believe. I'm pretty sure it's my 11th year. I was coaching before that. I was at another private school. I was at Chambers Academy for a couple of years there, and coached club, things like that. But this is my 11th year here at Glenwood coaching.
And you have had a lot of success winning state championships 3 out of the last 4 years. Came up short last year, but that was in the AHSAA. Now we turn a new chapter as the Glenwood athletics throughout the entire Glenwood family is going to be now in the AHSAA, where they are taking on public schools as well. And just talk about that transition going from the AISA to the AHSAA, and what are some of the benefits of being in the AHSAA? I know you mentioned like travel and really that competitive nature that you get to face with these public schools.
We're very excited, first of all. Just comparing, really, you can compare them in ways, or you can say there's no comparison in ways. I think for us with the AISA, there were a handful of good teams. And the thing that with the AISA is that you played somebody so much that you didn't have to scout them anymore. You just, either you were going to show up or they were going to show up. And, that's kind of what happened for us in the championship game. We played Hooper, and they were obviously not without talent. They had talent, and those girls from day one, they wanted it so bad. And you could just tell every time they played anybody, they had that on their mind. So, and it only takes one game, and it took one game or one match, and they got the best of us that day. And so they earned that win. So that one kind of stung a little bit, but that's a really good team. I think they're going to do well again this year in the AISA. But like you said, the benefit is travel. We were traveling. There was 1 week last year where we traveled 2 hours to Selma to play a game, and we turned around. That was on Tuesday, and we turned around on Thursday to play a region match at Fort Dale, which was 2.5 hours away. So, you're driving 2.5 hours to play an hour game to drive 2.5 hours back home. So something that's super exciting for us is that there is so much play locally that's a high level that we want to be a part of, that we don't have to travel 2.5 hours. We don't have to, go find somebody far to play. They're right in our back door. So that's really exciting for us to be able to just play Central, play Northside, play Columbus, but then also go to Montgomery and play Montgomery Academy and Prattville Christian and all those schools too.
All right, Coach. So tomorrow, which by the way is the day before school starts on Wednesday at Glenwood, and wish everybody just a happy back to school here this week. You do have a very special event. It's like a scrimmage for the volleyball team, the orange and white game. Just briefly talk about that. What time does it start, and how can people come to see the volleyball team, and also where you're located, because you guys are not in the basketball gym, that you actually have a separate gymnasium down at the lower school. Yes.
So each year we have an annual orange and white night. We introduce all of our teams. This year we have a 6th grade team, 2 middle school teams, a JV team, and a varsity team. So we are busting at the seams, and it is so wonderful. There are so many kids that want to play volleyball, and it's so exciting because it's an exciting sport and it's growing so quickly. So we're going to introduce, it starts at 6:00. We're here in the lower school gym, which if you're not familiar with that, if you're looking at the front of the school, you're going to see a playground on the right. If you go back behind the playground, it is that gym right there. It's 0 admission. There is no admission. You can come for free. Just meet our teams. Each team's going to have some time on the court. So 6th grade's going to start. They'll have about 10 minutes on the court. The cool thing about 6th grade is that some of our varsity players are their coaches. So that really helps them as well to get that kind of different aspect of the game. Now they're the coaches, so they will work with our 6th grade for about 10 minutes. Then our middle school team will come on and they'll play each other for 10 minutes. Our JV will have 15 minutes to scrimmage, and then varsity is going to do a full 2 out of 3 match. That's going to be our black and white game. We have black jerseys for one team, white jerseys for another, and they'll play a full match. And then we're just really excited. It's the night before school. Come out and just support.
Well, Coach, as by the way, as you know, live streaming a volleyball game last week on Georgia Alabama Sports Live, I now know basically what the strategy is when it comes to playing volleyball. I know that you play, 2 sets. I don't know if the rules are different in Alabama. I know in Georgia you play to 25 and there's 2 sets. Is it the same rules? Is that pretty much what the volleyball rules are in the AHSAA as well?
So if you're playing multiple teams, so if we go, and most of what we do is going to be tri matches, because we get in the AHSAA, you were not limited with anything. So we were playing, Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, and a tournament on Saturday. You're not limited with any of that, but you were only playing one team. So with the AHSAA, we get a certain number of dates. So what we try to do to get as many games in as we can is to play as many people as we can on those days. So you're playing a lot of tri matches. So when you're playing more than one team, you're going to play 2 out of 3 sets in one match. If you're playing just one team, you're going to play 3 out of 5, just so you get, your money's worth with that match.
Well, Coach, you lost a lot of seniors from last year's team. When you talk about your top players, like Olivia Slocum had 51 serving aces, which is huge. When you're serving, that's points that they can't return, because that's automatic points. I mean, that is huge. I think another stat that's very important is kills per set. And Anna Grace Griggs led the team with 3 kills per set. That is just, when you're in that top of that net and you're spiking it and it is hard to return, just seeing just the volleyball team itself lose a lot of senior leadership like Jason Carney and Presley Gigolo. What are some of the returning players and what are some of the new players that are going to be taking over that leadership that went on to graduate?
This happens every year. Every year it's a great group, and you don't want to see them go. And you mentioned those 4, and we also had Gracie Harris, who was our libero last year. And so, to lose 5 players, but not just 5 players, 5 starters. You have 6 on the court, you lost 5 of them. You're kind of like, all right, are we going to step up and we have other kids under who are ready to take their turn, or what's going to happen? And just fortunately for us, our kids are always prepared. Like, yes, we are going to miss those kills from Anna Grace. We're going to miss Presley's blocks. We're going to miss Jason all over the floor, Gracie's digs, Olivia Sir. I mean, we are going to miss all of those things. And that was such a great group. But what's amazing is that group paved the way for the group that's coming up right now. And so we went to camp at Alabama, played several games against public schools, and we looked really good at camp. We were, we had success. So it's exciting, and you just feel great, and you so appreciative to those seniors that they worked so hard and they pushed everyone, and they were able to leave the program better than they found it and really pour into the kids that were younger than them and set that good example of here's what you should do if you want to be successful. And those kids just step into that role, effortlessly. So every time we're always worried about what's going to happen, it just so happens that they do what they're supposed to do, and they come in and they're confident and they're like, all right, it's my turn now. I know what to do and I'm ready. So that's really, it just makes you feel good as a coach. It makes you feel like the players that are in your program are there for a reason, and that they are really pouring into your program, and that they leave a mark on it long after they're gone.
Coach, talk a little bit about your relationship with athletic director, Coach Tim Fanning, and also talk about some of the assistants that you have underneath you.
Tim's always been great. Coach Fanning is really supportive of what we do. He's not a micromanager. If there's ever anything that you're doing that he doesn't agree with or whatever, nobody else would ever know. He'd come find you in private and let you know. But he just doesn't hover over you and tell you how to do your job. He lets you do what you need to do. And he's really supportive in that way. We have, a coach's handbook and an athletic handbook, and you're going to follow the handbook, and anything after that, then he'll step in. So he's been really great. He's really supportive, all those good things. As far as our assistants, it is the best feeling when you have someone that you coached who wants to come back and help. And every year we always have someone who's like, hey, I want to come back and help. But we have a really great head JV coach. She's the assistant varsity coach, and she helps out with our middle school team as well, Gracie Sure. I coached her for 2 years here. We always joke, the coaches around campus know that you don't get one without the other. We're going to be together. She just knows the way that the program was run when she was in it, and she has stepped in and really taken a leadership role, and she's a great role model. Does anything you ask her to do, very professional. It's wonderful because she went from player to now friend. And then so we added a middle school coach this year, Jillian Huber. She comes from Calvary. Her 2 kids go to school here, and she was helping at Calvary. And I just got a message one day that said, hey, Coach, I saw, you guys don't really put anything out there if you're hiring, but I was just going to let you know, I'm interested. I've got kids that are there. And I was like, oh my goodness, I didn't know. Come on. Yes. And so that's just worked out perfect. She has stepped in. She's coaching both of our middle school teams. And she's really stepped in and done a great job this summer. So we have a great staff.
Coach, we have to talk about the schedule. With the schedule that you have in the AHSAA, you're able to play public schools not only in Alabama, but also in Georgia. First of all, we got to talk about getting to play Central for a home and home is incredible. I know that the community has got to love that, and we're definitely going to try to be there for Georgia Alabama Sports Live. Getting to play LaGrange and Troup County, Harris County, Columbus, Shaw. I mean, a great matchup. And of course, you got your region play with Lee Scott Academy, Dadeville, Beulah. I look at the schedule and I think, it looks tough, but knowing you and your team, you're up to the challenge, and it's really going to draw the fans that want to come support Glenwood Athletics to come see these matchups that you haven't gotten when you were playing in the AHSAA. What factors went into scheduling these teams, and what are you looking forward to about playing this competition at the public school level in Georgia and in Alabama?
I think it's really great that we're located where we are, because like you said, there's so many local programs that are strong programs. They've been strong for a long time. So to get the opportunity to play those teams, that is something that we have wanted for a long time. I think there's a misconception with, private school and the AHSAA that, oh, you're playing in this association here, y'all can't be very good compared to public schools. And my argument is there's good public schools in every classification, and there's schools that are not great in every classification. That's across the board. So I don't think it's fair to say because you were a part of this, you can't do this, because there are people in the AHSAA who are professional athletes now. They are. Look at Lindsey Brown at Edgewood. Very familiar with her. She's at Alabama right now on a scholarship. So, I don't think that's really fair of people to say, but also, and I don't mean this word in a negative way, I just think that's ignorance. Some people just don't know better. They don't know that, just because we're a small private school that we couldn't compete with someone else. And so I'm really excited as a school for our fans to get to see, hey, you know what? Like, we can compete with these schools, and we do have good athletes, and we do have good coaches at our school. And that's the really cool thing about our school, in the sense of it is like a family, and everybody supports everybody, and your fans are just as much a part of it as you are. So when we go to these games, they're local. I think like you said, you're going to draw a crowd. I mean, it's like home field advantage, no matter if you're traveling or not, on both sides of the aisle. So I think that's really exciting. I think it's something that us coaches have talked about. We just want to see, where are we at, as a school? Can we compete? Because we believe in what we've got, and we want everybody else to see it too.
Also, Coach, I think it's very important with that camaraderie. I mean, you have multi-sport athletes, not only on your program, but also on the basketball program under Coach Purdue. I'm looking at your roster. I'm already recognizing the basketball players that just won a state championship with Coach Purdue. I mean, you got Hallie Palmore. You got Claire Crisco. I mean, these are just key players for Coach Purdue, but they're also athletes for your squad. I mean, we knew about Emerson White. I mean, she was featured in Media Day, and also just been a competitor. Also Haley Wilkes. I mean, just talk about some of the other members of your team, and what is their role in as far as getting this team prepared for the upcoming season.
Yeah. So, like you said, we have those players. We've got some girls who play softball too. We've got Maddie Moody was on the AHSAA all tournament team last year. So she plays middle for us. She's back. I could talk about everyone individually, but for me, the most important thing is that they all have the same goals in mind. They all come in ready to work every day. They all come in with just this mindset. Our team mantra, if you will, is win the day. And we say it before every practice. It's on the back of our practice shirts. It's just something, it's all over our locker room. It is something that we believe. It doesn't matter if you win the game or not. If you come in and you win the day, you're successful no matter what. So we believe that if we come in and we do what we've got to do during practice, we won that day, we got better. So we even have a freshman on our varsity team this year. We've got Carrington Slocum, who you might recognize from softball. We have a lot of multi-sport athletes, but everyone has really stepped up. I am so proud of them and the way that they, Claire Crisco said this in one of our team meetings. She said, it was actually when we were at camp, they had like a little Q&A time, and they were talking about what's it like losing all those people. And her response was, my job last year might not have been to be a starter. I was ready when I was called on, but what I wanted to make sure I did was during practice, I wanted to do my best to prep my team so that they were ready for those games. And then now it's my turn to be in that role. And I think that mindset is so great to have. And it's something that's contagious. And it comes from those kids who have been in this position before. All of our kids on this team have been in a position where they've had to play for, a high stakes game. And that pays off in the every day-to-day task that we're doing. That mindset is just so important. And we preach on that mindset all the time. Win the day, come in, put your head down, do what you got to do. Don't worry about what's to come. Don't worry about what was, worry about the right now. So everybody on the team is just ready to go. And like I said, I could sit here and talk about every one of them, but I'd take up all your time.
Coach, talk about the opener. August the 22nd. It's going to be against Northside, which, by the way, we will have that on Georgia Alabama Sports Live. Also, is that a doubleheader? The schedule says you're also facing Houston County
Yes,
over
we're
in
gonna play
Warner
a
Robins.
Yes,
So,
we'll play.
so it's gonna be like a tournament, but it's gonna be at Northside.
Yes, and this is also the way that I am. I'm a one day at a time kind of person. So I would have to look at my schedule and see who we play first. I believe we play back to back because we're closer. I want to say we're going to end with Northside. But what's exciting is that we get to, like I said before, in the AHSAA, you just knew you were either going to show up or you weren't. Now it gets to be fun again. Not that it wasn't before, it's just different. You get to have fun as a coach because you get to go scout that team, and then you get to create a practice plan that focuses around what do they do. And now we get to put a game plan together and let's see if we can execute that. And so that's something that's really, I know Coach Gracie and I are super focused on. Let's do some research. Let's get as prepared as we can and let's go play, because Northside's nothing to play with. They've always been a great team. Now, I'm not familiar with Houston County, but I can only imagine they're strong too. So getting to do that research and scout those teams, that's fun. And we can't wait to do that.
Absolutely. And, volleyball just started a couple of weeks ago. I mean, Northside was taking on Brookstone last week. I'm sure, you had your eye on that game. I actually saw some members of they wearing Glenwood shirts at the Pacelli Shaw volleyball game last week. I know that scheduling, really, you have an opportunity to see these teams in person right here in Columbus that you're going to play months down the road.
Yeah, it's exciting. I think Brookstone took that one. I think they swept.
Yeah.
And that one, I know they've got a strong team this year. Yeah, I wish it would have worked out that we could play them. It just, we were already full, and I think they were full too. But that's always a fun game to play. We're excited that you can go watch somebody else play, or you can look them up online, or your kids know some of those kids because they play club together, and so they kind of know, and they start talking. Well, I know this girl can do this, and this girl can do that, and so it gets them excited too because they're familiar with these kids personally, not just because they've played them over and over again, but it's because they know them.
Well, Coach, I'm excited that we are live streaming Glenwood volleyball here on Georgia Alabama Sports Live. Before I let you go, this is just a plea out there to anybody out there who supports Glenwood athletics, how they can support the volleyball team. What are some ways, as far as going to the games as well, but what are some ways that they can support Glenwood volleyball?
Yeah, they can find us on Instagram, Facebook. We have now at our school, we have a new athletics page, and it's going to cover all sports that we have at the school. So if you don't want to, if you have a kid who you're interested in soccer, but that's the only thing you're interested in here, and maybe you still want to see everything else, but you don't want to follow all those accounts, just follow that Glenwood athletics page, and we put when we're playing, who we played, what was the score, things like that. So just following us on social media and seeing if you can come catch a game. I promise you will not be disappointed. It is not church volleyball. It is, and no disrespect to that, I love that people are playing volleyball at church, but this is fun. It's fast paced. It's, a game of mistakes. And so, hopefully we draw some good crowds this year.
Well, Coach, I cannot wait. Good luck this season, and looking forward to having you back on the Glenwood Coaches Show.
Thank you for having me.
As Coach Kayla Strength of the Glenwood volleyball team, thank you so much, everybody, for watching the Glenwood Coaches Show here on Georgia Alabama Sports Live, presented by Glenn Smith Chevrolet GMC. Don't forget that we will have live shows at Mike and Ed's Barbecue, and Noah Shelton will be back as the host. I know we're going to get Coach Ryan Nelson on. That first game is August the 23rd as Glenwood is taking on the Valley Rams of the AHSAA, making their debut in the AHSAA. Have a great rest of your night, everybody.